People lie to you every single day. Your coworkers, your friends, people you trust, people you just met. And most of the time you believe them because they're good at it, because they've practiced, because you're not paying attention to the right things. But here's what you need to understand. No matter how good someone is at lying, their body always tells the truth. Not in obvious ways, not like in the movies where someone sweats and looks away and stutters. Real liars are calm, controlled, convincing, but if you know what to look for, you'll catch them every time. This video breaks down the exact signs that someone is lying to you, not theories, not guesses, actual behavioral patterns that reveal deception. And by the end, you'll never look at a conversation the same way again. Let me start with something most people get wrong. You can't tell if someone's lying just by watching their eyes. The whole liars look away thing, that's a myth. Trained liars know this, so they'll stare directly at you while feeding you complete bullshit. They'll hold eye contact longer than normal people because they know that's what you expect from honesty. So if you're only watching their eyes, you're already being played. Real deception shows up in patterns, clusters of behaviors, inconsistencies that only become obvious when you know where to look. And once you learn this, you start seeing lies everywhere. Not because everyone's lying, but because you finally know how to read what people are actually doing versus what they're saying. So here are the signs. Pay attention. Because these aren't just interesting facts, these are tools. Sign 1, they give you too much detail. When someone's telling the truth, their story is simple, direct. They give you the information you asked for, and nothing more. But when someone's lying, they over-explain. They add unnecessary details. They tell you things you didn't ask about. They build elaborate context that has nothing to do with your question. Because in their mind, more detail makes the lie more believable, more real, more convincing. But it doesn't. It just makes it more obvious. Think about it. If someone asks you where were you last night, and you were actually at home, you just say I was at home. You don't say I was at home. I got there around 7, made some pasta, watched that show I told you about. The one with the detective, had some tea, went to bed around 11. That's not how honest people talk. That's how liars talk when they're trying too hard. So if someone's giving you a story with more detail than you asked for, ask yourself why they need you to believe them so badly. Sign 2, their story stays exactly the same every time. This one catches most people off guard. You'd think a liar's story would change, right? That they'd slip up, contradict themselves, get details wrong. But actually, it's the opposite. When someone tells the truth, their story changes slightly each time they tell it. Not the facts, but the way they describe it. The details they emphasize. The order they mention things. Because real memories are flexible. Your brain doesn't record events like a video. It reconstructs them every time you recall them. But when someone's lying, they've memorized a script, and they repeat that script exactly the same way every single time. Word for word, beat for beat, like they rehearsed it. Because they did. So if you ask someone the same question twice, days apart, and their answer is identical, that's not consistency. That's memorization. And people don't memorize the truth. They only memorize lies. Sign 3, they deflect instead of denying. Here's a simple test. If you think someone's lying, make a direct accusation. Not aggressive, just clear. Did you take my charger? Were you talking about me? Did you tell them what I said? Now watch what they do. If they're innocent, they'll give you a direct denial. No, I didn't. What? No. Simple, clear, immediate. But if they're lying, they'll deflect. Why would I do that? Do you really think I would? I can't believe you're asking me this. Notice what just happened. They didn't answer your question. They turned it back on you. They made you feel bad for asking. They questioned your judgment. They created doubt about whether you should even be having this conversation. That's not defense, that's manipulation. And it works. Because most people feel guilty for accusing someone and back off. But if you're paying attention, you just got your answer. Because innocent people don't deflect. They deny, clearly, directly, without hesitation. Sign 4, their body freezes when they lie. Most people think liars are fidgety, nervous, moving around a lot, sometimes, but not always. Actually, a lot of liars do the opposite. They freeze, their gestures stop, their hands go still. Their face becomes strangely calm. Because lying takes mental effort, and when your brain is working hard to construct a believable story, it doesn't have resources left over for natural body language. So the body just stops. You'll notice it especially in their hands. If someone's normally expressive using their hands when they talk, and suddenly their hands go flat and still while answering a specific question, that's a red flag. It means their brain is busy, too busy to maintain the performance of looking natural. And here's the tell within the tell. Watch what happens after they finish lying. Their body will suddenly relax. Movement will come back. Interesting. They think they've managed to hide their true intentions from me, but I've already figured out their entire plan. I'll just observe for now and let them believe they're in control. Sometimes the best strategy is simply waiting. They'll shift position, touch their face, adjust their posture. That's the release. That's the moment their brain stops working so hard and their body returns to normal. And if you catch that shift, you know exactly which part of the conversation was the lie. Sign 5. They change their baseline right before lying. This is the most reliable tell, but you have to be paying attention from the start. Everyone has a baseline, a normal way they act when they're comfortable and telling the truth. Some people make a lot of eye contact. Some don't. Some people talk with their hands. Some don't. Some people pause before answering. None of that matters. What matters is what's normal for them. But when someone's about to lie, their baseline changes. Maybe they were making normal eye contact, but now suddenly they're staring too hard. Maybe they were calm, but now their voice goes slightly higher. Maybe they were still, but now they start touching their neck or face. It's subtle. Most people miss it, but it's there. Because lying creates stress, even for good liars. And that stress leaks out in small behavioral changes right before and during the lie. So if you want to catch someone lying, don't just look for lying behaviors. Look for changes from their normal pattern. That shift is the signal. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Now here's what most people do wrong with all of this. They learn these signs, and then they start accusing everyone of lying. Don't do that. Because here's the truth. These signs don't prove someone's lying. They prove someone's stressed. And people get stressed for lots of reasons. Maybe they're nervous because they like you. Maybe they're anxious because the topic is uncomfortable. Maybe they're just bad at confrontation. So you can't rely on one sign. You need to see multiple signs, a pattern, a cluster. If someone shows one of these behaviors, it might mean nothing. But if they show 3 or 4 at the same time, specifically when answering a particular question, that's when you know. And even then, you don't confront them. Not yet. You file it away. You keep watching. You ask the same question differently later and see if the pattern repeats. Because the goal isn't to catch people lying. The goal is to know when you're not getting the truth. And once you know that, you can decide what to do about it. Here's the final thing you need to understand. The best liars know all of this. They've studied it. They've practiced controlling their tells. They'll maintain perfect eye contact. They'll keep their story simple. They'll control their body language. They'll answer directly. So does that mean you can't catch them? No, it means you have to go deeper. Because even the best liars can't control everything. There's always something. Maybe it's a micro-expression that flashes across their face for a fraction of a second before they control it. Maybe it's the fact that their story is too perfect, too clean, too rehearsed. Maybe it's that they're trying so hard to appear honest that they don't look natural anymore. The tells are there. You just have to be patient enough to find them. And here's the advantage you have. Lying is exhausting. Maintaining a lie takes constant mental effort. But observing, that takes almost no effort at all. So while they're working hard to convince you, you're just watching, waiting, noticing, and eventually they'll slip. Not because they want to, but because they have to. Because no one can perform perfectly forever. So here's my advice. Start practicing this today. Not on people you think are lying to you, just on everyone. Watch how people act when they're telling the truth. Notice their baseline, their patterns, their normal. And then, wait. Wait for the moment when someone's baseline changes. When their story has too much detail. When they deflect instead of denying. When their body freezes. When everything shifts just slightly. That's the moment. That's when you know. And once you start seeing it, you'll realize how often it happens. Not because everyone's a liar, but because everyone lies sometimes. About small things, big things, things that matter, things that don't. And the people who know how to spot it, those are the people who never get played. Those are the people who see clearly, who trust carefully, who know exactly who they're dealing with. And that's the position you want to be in. Not paranoid, not suspicious, just aware. Because in a world full of liars, awareness is the only real defense.